All right, so here's a couple things to do and not to do on your VA appointment that I've read about, and I've also talked to some old school vets and stuff like that. So I wanted to make a quick video, the do's and don'ts. What you don't want to do, okay, is over exaggerate your symptoms, right? You just want to go in there and tell them the truth, right? I've heard, I've even seen forums and stuff like that drives me crazy. Like people are like, oh yeah, well, you just got to go in there and you just tell them all this type of stuff, and you deserve this, you deserve that, and not that some of that's not true, but going in there and flat out lying, like I don't understand the point of that. You know, it just doesn't make sense to me. So over exaggerating, what is wrong with you is not necessarily good. Now telling them when you're there how it is on your worst day is what I suggest you do, and what multiple people suggested that I should do. So, and that's what I've done. And it's not that day is your worst day, because you could be feeling great that day. So don't get me wrong. It's the fact that when you walk in there, you need to explain to them, like, I remember when I first went in years ago, and I injured my knee overseas, and I felt fine. Like my knee would just swell up, and end up tearing stuff and not getting it fixed, and not realizing it was torn as bad as it was. It would just swell up, and I would be limping. And then next day I'd be fine, and then I could be walking up steps. If you have a knee injury and it's one of those like meniscus tears and stuff like that, you know what it's like, and not like a rip. Like it's still like kind of holding together and that type of stuff. Like, you could be fine 1 minute, and the next minute you're just, you're barely lifting anything or putting any weight on it. So you want to explain to them, what it's like. Like, they're going to make their visual inspection and put notes in, but you also have to tell them, what's wrong. So you over exaggerating it, I would highly suggest never do that. It's just the fact that telling them the truth of what happens, even if you're not having that issue right then and there, is what you should be doing. And at the same time, you never under exaggerate. You don't go in there and under exaggerate what's happening. And I did that because I struggled with my injury with my knee because of even being at the VA and being in Balad and getting sent to Germany, and seeing like people that were truly messed up. Like, in your mind, when you think of the VA, at least when I was growing up, 4th of July, the guy in the wheelchair, it's like when you see that type of stuff, and then you're right beside them, and that didn't happen to you, was embarrassing. Like, internally for me, it was extremely embarrassing. And as I'm older, I can say that. Like I messed up my knee. Yes, I messed up my knee overseas in Iraq. Yes, but you should know what I'm talking about. So you don't want to, like, I was just like, yes, I'm fine. So I was under exaggerating it, not purposely, but I was embarrassed to even be there, in a sense, because I didn't know what the VA was. I didn't realize that you could just be on an active duty base in stateside, and you break your leg and the VA is going to pay you. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't know anything about that then. So, I completely under exaggerated what was going on. So those are two key things, right? The one thing that I've listened to was to not dress up. Not that I ever dress up to a doctor's appointment, so I guess maybe some people do, but they're like, yeah, just make sure you don't dress up, for your doctor's appointment. So, if you have any view on that, or if you kind of know why, you can put that link below, because I don't dress up to any doctor's appointment. I just go as I am. So there might be some reason for that. I've just heard that a lot, and I've even saw it written in some places, but it doesn't really go in depth on why. Like, why don't you want to? I can understand, especially if it's a medical thing, I can understand for some appointments, like some CMP appointments, if it's a specific topic, not to. But then, to me, if you're doing that, then you're kind of lying about how you actually are. So make sure that you don't under exaggerate. Don't make sure you don't over exaggerate, and make sure you explain yourself. Like, let's say they, I'm just gonna keep using a knee, and then on other things I'll talk about other things. Is like, they'll ask you, does your knee click? Does your swell? They'll ask you, like, the pain. What's the pain like? Is it a pressure pain? Is it a point pain? Is it all this type of stuff? You want to make sure that you describe however it is, right? They're doctors. So if you're saying it's like, let's say you have a torn ACL, there's 99% of the people are going to react a certain way to a torn ACL. They already know that. So they're asking you you know, they could be asking you to see if you're actually telling the truth, or they could be asking you, you know, to take notes. So to me, in that type of situation, you want to make sure you're telling the truth, because you don't know why they're asking that. I mean, it's part of the questionnaire, but I've read different things and you hear different people's opinion. So let's just say it's somebody who's not handling it correctly. You want to tell them. And if it's one of those things too, that, like, I've been asked by doctors, like, is this how something feels? And I'm like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, because I'm thinking like, well, no, it doesn't, but if that's how I'm feeling pain, and maybe I just don't know how to, you know, you're grown, like, you know how something feels, you know, inside your knee, 9 times out of 10, or, you know, and again, I'm just using the example, you know how you feel, you know how it feels, you can describe the pain that you're feeling. So just make sure, no matter what they're saying to you, you describe what's actually happening to you, you know, so that they can notate it. And make sure you tell them, like, let's say you just walk in, it's your best day ever. You want to explain to them, one, how it is on your worst day, and explain to them, like, yes, today it's feeling good, but, like, you know, yesterday it was swollen, or how long. It's how it actually is, and describe it, and then also how long that symptom lasts. That's going to be key, is how long the symptoms last, and that's what the rating is going to be about. You know, it's going to be, you know, your knee, you have the flexation rating, but you also have that, like, incapacitation rating. So if you deserve something, you know, again, that's why I'm doing this, is for people that don't know and are actually going through the process, not somebody's trying to screw the system, okay? So if you have to be off your knee for so many times that it does interfere with your job, or your daily life balance, or your family work-life balance, I wouldn't necessarily say that, but, like, that could be the right terminology. But with your family, like, if you're having to, you know, if you have kids and you're having to lay up, you know, with ice on your knee, you know, once or twice a month, or 3 or 4 times a month, or once or twice a week, you need to let them know, you know. And there's a lot of things out there that'll tell you what to say, and I'm not really trying to do that. I'm just trying to make sure you go in thinking. You know, if you want to search some other stuff and lie about it because you know you're gonna get an I rating, then that's ridiculous to me. But that's on you, right? That's not what this is for. So you want to make sure that you go in there, and even if you need to take notes, like, if you need to take notes before you go to your medical appointment, then that's what you need to do, so that you can, you know, your CMP exam is a one-time thing, you know, until you put in another claim, you know. So you want to make sure that you're upfront and honest, and you go in there prepared, because then you can explain stuff to the doctor, you know. And I'll tell you this, if you're somebody going in there trying to fake it and trying to say, oh, well, I know, you know, it's like 6 times, so can you make sure you write down that I'm laid up 6 times or 10 times, whatever it is, you know, they're gonna know what you're doing. I mean, they're not stupid, you know. So I suggest you highly just be honest. Don't over exaggerate, and don't under exaggerate any of your symptoms. And again, I don't know about the dressing up thing, but I know that was a big thing that they say, not to dress up for your appointments. And still, like I said earlier, I don't know why they do or don't do that. But those are 2 key things about the over exaggeration and under exaggeration. And, like, I'm repeating myself, take notes. Take notes on how it is your worst day, like how you're being affected by that. And this way your CMP exam is going to go the best that it can go. And if you are deserving of something, then you get what you deserve. Okay? All right.